It was the gunpowder barrel the cat had knocked over, now spilling out its contents onto the cold stone floor. I took a handful of the spilled gunpowder. I poured the gunpowder into the cannon. I loaded the billiards trophy into the cannon. Spherical and solid metal, it was the perfect improvised cannonball. I packed in the gunpowder and makeshift cannonball. Now there were just 2 steps remaining. Aim and fire. Whoa! I was only going to be able to fire this cannon once, and I needed to make sure it was aimed right. The rocky coastline all looked the same. I needed a way to make a target. As I directed the light along the coast, it caught the polished brooch I'd placed on the cairn, reflecting back the light fantastically, like a signal mirror. With the brooch at Crossbone Cove reflecting light back from the lighthouse, I knew exactly where to aim. I took a match out of the matchbook and lit the cannon's fuse. I felt like a pirate captain about to unleash a broadside barrage. Ready the cannons, you scurvy scallywags! Pull the ship to port, down with the mainsail! Buckle your swash and fire! That looks like it might have worked.
Well, blow me down! What's happened here? Did you do this, Murphy?
I needed to find a way in.
Well, Aladdin, I think you found your magic cave.
The cannon fire had worked. The boulders that had fallen in the rock slide were now rubble strewn across the beach, revealing what I'd been searching for, a dark cave winding into the cliffside. A ghostly glow flickered from the far end of the cave as I slipped on the seaweed-covered rocks trying to reach it. I began to fear the worst, but as I emerged in the subterranean chamber, I discovered it was actually the otherworldly glow of plankton. Outstretched across the sandbank was a sea-worn skeleton. It must have been Xavier Belmore. I found you, Xavier. Your final expedition won't have been in vain.
I grow weary of your inability to heed my warning, Murphy MacCallum. No good shall come from you pursuing this.
What you've done to Abigail Belmore cannot be allowed to continue.
Abigail Belmore is dead. As will you be, if you continue this pathetic charade.
She deserves to be free, just like all the ghosts of the manor.
You haven't learnt, have you, MacCallum? Everything you've done so far has just made the situation worse. Now is the time to back out.
I'll never do that, Rackham. Finding the treasure is more important to me now than it's ever been.
Then I hope it's a cause you're willing to die for. Just as Xavier Belmore drowned in the rising tide of this cave, so shall you.
Rackham's earthquake finally stopped, I realized the route I'd followed into the cave was blocked. Tons of impenetrable rock and rubble now stood between me and the outside world. I was trapped. The only source of light was the glowing algae in the water, but even that dimmed to darkness when it went undisturbed in the quiet cave. At any point, the cave could fill up with seawater, drowning me just as it had Xavier. I needed to find a way out. I'd read about phytoplankton before, and how its glow was triggered by the vibration of movement around it, but nothing compared to the magic of seeing them. Disturbed, as I stood still, I noticed the algae beginning to dim. I'd read that its glow was triggered by vibrations, and without my footsteps, it was getting darker. I scooped up some of the algae water. With a quick shake to agitate it, the bottle began to shine like a blue lantern. As the darkness dimmed in the cave, I began to make out a faint luminescence in the form of a whirlpool. Some turbulence beneath the water was making the algae glow, and I hoped it might be an underwater tunnel. That might have been my only way out, but swimming through the darkness would have been far too dangerous. The lights below the water didn't offer much chance of escape, but at least it was better than waiting to drown in the cave. Using the bottle of algae as an underwater lantern, I waded into the water, then dived down below the surface. The underwater tunnels felt like a maze. I pulled myself past jagged rocks and twisting passages, with only the ethereal blue glow of the algae to light my way, until finally, with only seconds of air left in my lungs, I reached the surface.
Murphy, what are you doing over there? It's dangerous to swim out here, you know. You could get washed into a sea cave or something.
Thanks for the advice, Crab. I'll make a note of that. Green from the seawater I'd swallowed, I could at least say I'd survived being drowned. And now I had Xavier's key. Hello again, Crab.
Hello, Murphy.
I'd like to head back to Dead Nettle, please.
Hop aboard, Murphy.
A bag lay abandoned on the floor. A stack of books lay haphazardly at the bottom of the bed. I searched through the pockets of the lab coat. To my surprise, I found something. A small silver coin.
Welcome back!
It was an expensive-looking jeweler's microscope used to inspect gems and jewelry up close. It was an old silver coin. At its center were 2 lines of text, but they were too small to read with the naked eye. What do you think of this coin?
Oh, very interesting. Though I'm afraid with these old spectacles, I can't make out what the engraving says.
Could I use your microscope to look at this coin I found?
Oh! Are you a fellow fan of numismatics?
I prefer the old ones.
Yeah, never mind. Go right ahead.
With the microscope calibrated, the coin's writing came into focus. It read, "Into the palm of a prince." The inscription must have been a clue in Cecil's treasure hunt. I just had to find the prince's palm he was referring to. It was an ornately crafted metal statue of a Maharaja prince, with one hand outstretched and the other clasping a scroll case. I wondered what I could do with the coin-sized indentation in the statue's hand. I had nothing else to say to the gardener. Following the inscription on the coin and realizing that the metallic statue depicted an Indian prince, I took a close look at the statue's palm. For the first time, I noticed a slight circular indentation, about the size of a coin. I placed the coin into the statue's hand. It fit the indentation exactly, into the palm of a prince. No sooner had I done it than I heard sparks and hums coming from inside the statue. That's when I realized it wasn't a statue at all. It was an automaton. A robotic figure made to move with cogs, wires, and electrical pulses. It seemed to be fighting to move, but then, nothing.
Well, blow me over with a dandelion. I didn't expect anyone to get that working again.
It's not doing much.
Joints will be frozen, I should think. No wonder after all these years. Another job for me to do, and a dangerous one at that. Who knows how many volts Master Cecil ran through that thing to get it moving.
I tried the door, but it was locked. Lubricating the beam so it rotated smoothly was a thick glob of grease. Using one of the cotton flags, I scooped up some of the gloppy grease. Using the flag soaked in grease, I began to oil the automaton's joints. I was pretty sure I'd lubricated the automaton enough. Now it was time to test it. I placed the coin back in the automaton's hand and watched. The cap of the scroll case opened and revealed something inside.
Well, there's life in the old thing yet. Gives us all hope, doesn't it?
I picked up the piece of paper that had fallen from the statue. Unrolling it, I discovered it was a death certificate, all filled in except for one key piece of information. The name was missing. It was certainly a clue, but who did it belong to? As I returned to the docks, I realized that Dead Nettle's usual smell of sea breeze and rotting fish had been replaced by something far more pleasant, the smoky scent of a fish I thought I recognized.
Hello again, Mac. I hope you don't mind, but you left your fish hanging there. No sense in letting a fish that size go to waste. I've started cooking it up. It'll be the tastiest fish this side of the Mississippi. We can tuck in as soon as it's cooked.
I tried to hide the realization growing on my face. A mouthful of taxidermy stuffing and chipped teeth from the iron horseshoe hidden inside wouldn't be the culinary sensation Ned was after. Sounds great, Ned. The fish I'd supposedly caught was now slowly simmering on the grill. If Ned wanted to wait until the fish was cooked to tuck in, it was time to turn up the heat.
Whoa! We don't want you overdone, little fishy. Time to cut you open. Ready for a taste sensation, Mac?
Ready as I'll ever be.
Hand me back that knife, would you? That's strange. There's something in here. A horseshoe.
Now how did that get in there?
Mac, I think your fish is stuffed.
Well, knock me over with a herring. I'm shocked. Does this mean my record doesn't count?
I hate to break it to you.
Did I hear what I think I heard? Out of the way, Buster.
Evelyn! What took you so long?
The record-breaking Pancoza was stuffed. The new record was a sham. Murphy, what have you got to say for yourself?
You've caught me red-handed. Well, I don't mean to be coy with you, but this cuts me to the soul. I only entered for the halibut. I can't believe I'm herring this right. I'm cracking up. I'm floundering. I'm carping on and on. I need to clear my head, but let me know if you need anything else from me.
I think you've got more of a future in the funny pages than serious journalism, Murphy. Kipps, have you got time for an interview with the Juniper Parish Gazette?
Evelyn homed in on Ned like a dog with a bone and no sense of personal boundaries.
How did it feel getting your record back?
The back wall of the newspaper office was filled with filing cabinets. From the labels on the front, they looked to be archived issues of the Juniper Parish Gazette. Using the date from the death certificate, I began to search through the newspaper's archives. And then, I found it. In the bottom corner of the newspaper was a small announcement showing that the person buried on that date was named Eleanor Hines. I ripped out the announcement and replaced the newspaper. It was the obituary I'd ripped from the newspaper giving the burial date of someone named Eleanor Hines.
McAllen, I told you can't go back there.
Whoops, look at the time. I've really got to be going. I had a name to go along with the death certificate. Now it was time to find out where they were buried. Good evening, Edgar.
Ah, blast it. Not again. I go all night as the only one in this cemetery with a pulse. Then here you are bringing me 2 steps closer to losing it. What do you want now?
Just taking a look around. It's peaceful here.
It was.
The ghost stories are real.
Well, I don't want to hear them. I don't like to think about ghosts.
Why not?
Because they'd be bad for business. I have my work cut out here with the dead as it is. Imagine if they came back asking for a refund.
I found a way into the sanctuary crypt.
You got yourself in there? I thought that place was closed up tighter than a jar of pickles dipped in superglue.
I certainly did. The pattern on the entrance was a clue to a secret passage from the church.
Well, I'm envious, Murphy. That's the kind of place I can only dream of ending up.
A dank old crypt?
For some, but I see a nice, quiet atmosphere. Plenty of legroom, no nosy neighbors to interrupt your rest. Those skeletons in there don't know how good they have it. It's only us living folk who can actually appreciate it. In my opinion, death's wasted on the dead.
Do you know there are a couple of gentlemen up by the church?
Rum runners they are. Dealing with them is not in my job description. As long as they don't mix up the stiffs I'm burying with the stiff drinks they're smuggling, I'm keeping my nose out. Curiosity killed the cat, you know, and I really miss Mittens.
There's a dead body over at Belmore Manor hanging from a tree.
So, what do you want me to do about it?
Shouldn't you bury it?
If it manages to wander its way over here, I'll bury it. Until then, I'm not stepping foot onto the Belmore estate. I've heard the stories about the Phantom, and I'm not risking my shut-eye to rescue a cadaver from a tree like some stuck kitten.
Do you know who the hanged man is?
Beats me, but from what I've heard, it's been there ever since that wedding night.
Can you believe you almost buried me alive?
If anybody asks you, that never happened. One word of this gets out, and I'll never be allowed near a coffin again.
I best be running along.
Goodbye.
I began searching the graves for the name in the clipping, Eleanor Hines. Aha! I discovered a small headstone at the center of the cemetery, partially covered in moss and lacking any date whatsoever. So this was where Eleanor Hines had been buried. Except, now that I was looking at it etched in large letters, I began to realize something. The name was an anagram. Here lies no one? And if a person wasn't buried here, what was? To say digging up a grave felt eerie would be an understatement, but if something was down there, I needed to find out what it was. I took out the shovel and began to dig. Eventually, I found something. Not a coffin, but instead, a battered old chest. I opened the chest I dug up from the grave and found two things of interest: a round glass lens and an engraving in the lid of the chest. I picked up the glass lens. The engraving read, "The Tale of the Mermaid." It was a small glass lens I dug up in the cemetery, found alongside the inscription, "The Tale of the Mermaid." Looking through the telescope, all I could see was a blur. I soon realized why. A telescope without a lens wasn't going to be much use. The small lens fit perfectly on the end of the telescope. I immediately looked through it to see what it would reveal. I spy with my little eye the next clue. Maybe the top of the outcrop would provide a different perspective on something? The Tale of the Mermaid. This must have been the location described in the chest's inscription, but looking through the gap in the weather vane, all I could see was darkness. With no easy path to it, I couldn't justify risking my life trekking through overgrown wilderness and the alligator-infested bayou unless I was sure something was there. I needed some way to light up the bayou. The firework dropped snugly into the drain pipe. If it needed a launch tube to fire, this was the closest I was going to get. I took a match out of the matchbook, dragged it against the striker, and lit the firework. Illuminated by the glow of the fireworks, I could see something through the mermaid weather vane. It looked like a wishing well. My route to the well had me clambering over fallen tupelo trees and trudging through knee-deep water, lit only by moonlight and accompanied only by the overly curious critters of the bayou. But eventually, I found it. On the center of a small island was a stone well, decorated with metal filigree. Carved into the stone on each side was the face of a gorgon. The rope looked like it could bear my weight. If only I could lower it into the well first. I wanted to turn the pulley, but realized the handle was missing. Without a handle, I wasn't going to get the leverage to turn it. The crank slid into the gear mechanism perfectly. I'd heard of throwing a coin down a well to make a wish, but never of throwing yourself down. I just had to hope a 30-year-old rope could still hold my weight. With some luck, I found I'd landed on a metal platform jutting out into the hollow of the well. Clearly, I wasn't the first person to come down here, although the previous visitor might have arrived here more gracefully. I picked up the rope and the spindle it was attached to. I didn't need to tie that up. Knowing how flammable the grease-soaked cotton would be, I wrapped it around the spindle to form a rudimentary torch. I took the final match out of the matchbook, careful not to drop it onto the wet floor, and the torch burned brightly, dancing light into the formerly dark alcove. And that's when I saw it. Hidden within the rock face was a small metal box with a button on it. I pressed the button and immediately heard the sound of sparking electricity, seemingly coming from within the rocks themselves. And then the passageway meandered like a labyrinth through the underground rock. With each step, I felt more and more lost, and ready to turn back. Then up ahead, I saw a glimmer of light. The top of the stairs appeared to be a dead end, but the wooden board blocking my way and the muffled sounds of electricity suggested there was more to this passageway than met the eye. I placed my hands on the obstruction and pushed. I emerged into a dimly lit office that seemed to have been taken over by frighteningly active machinery, and from the familiar groaning of wood, I realized where I was. Cecil Belmore's skeleton lay hunched over his desk, a knife still at his back. Papers were strewn throughout the room, covered in ferociously written observations and diagrams, very few of which made any sense to me. I solved your treasure hunt, Cecil. I hope you don't mind me taking this as my reward.
Murphy McCallan, you will pay for your insolence.
I have the third key now, Rackham. The treasure doesn't belong to you. I will get to the Belmore treasure before you.
Do you think this is a game, Murphy McCallan? You are toying with things beyond your understanding.
I think you're just nervous that I'm closer to finding the treasure than you are.
I will not be defeated by a mere mortal. Even if you claim the treasure, I will haunt you to the ends of the earth. There will be no escape from the terror and misery I will bring down upon you. Each time you sleep, I will turn your every dream into an unending nightmare.
I've survived your attempts to kill me twice now, Rackham. Maybe you're not as powerful as you think you are.
Even with the 3 keys, do you really think you can beat me to the treasure, Murphy? You are immortal. I am an all-powerful spirit. I have looked upon the face of death, and still I remain here. Now it's time for you to look upon death too. Just as Cecil Belmore's blood poured from his body, so shall yours.
Rackham's telekinetic powers had dropped me onto the mill's conveyor belt. My wrists and ankles now tied with the same wire that was strewn about the mill, but at least the buzzsaw wasn't on. And then it got even worse. With inches to spare, the belt snagged on the warping wooden frame and gave me a chance of escape, acutely aware that it could catch again any moment and send me hurtling into the spinning blade. With my hands and feet bound, I couldn't reach my belongings. No matter how hard I pulled, I couldn't snap it. I considered touching the spinning blade, but I was quite attached to my hand, and I wanted to keep it that way. Carefully, I held the wire wrapped around my wrists against the spinning blade. It cut through them like butter, just like it would do to me if I couldn't get my ankles free. With seconds left, I hacked into the wires with the scissors and just managed to cut through them. With my legs free, I swung myself off the conveyor belt. I had survived being cut in half, and now I had Cecil's key. That was it. All 3 skeleton keys. Now it was time to open the vault. I needed the keys to open them. I placed the first key into the mantelpiece. The key didn't fit that keyhole. I placed the second key into the mantelpiece. I placed the third key into the mantelpiece and immediately heard a click. I didn't know what exactly I was going to discover beneath the house, but it was time to find out.
I wouldn't go down there if I were you.
This is the only way to save everyone in the house. I need to see what's down there.
A cry for help will make no sound, with secrets deep below the ground. Dare he walk into the black, for once he's in, he won't come back.
The staircase coiled down and down beneath the house, carved out of the very rock the house sat on. Lit only by flickering lanterns, I worked my way towards the green glow beckoning me at the end of the tunnel. Finally passing through the frame of a large metal door and into the Belmore Vault.